They found her badge buried in the woods, but the body was nowhere in sight. And when the Navy SEAL saw his sister's photo on that missing poster, he knew the silence that followed wasn't peace. It was a warning. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. It had been 87 days since Lieutenant Sarah Kane vanished. Her brother, Navy SEAL Master Chief Logan Kane, had searched every lead, every scrap of evidence, but all he had left were sleepless nights and a fading hope. The last call from her came at 11:43 p.m. Static. Panic. Then a whisper. Logan. If anything happens. The line cut. Since then, the city had moved on. But Logan hadn't. He'd come home from deployment early, a man built for battle, but broken by family loss. And by his side, always, was his K-9 partner, Ranger, a Belgian Malinois with scars of his own and eyes that mirrored his handler's pain. That morning, the air felt heavy, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones before dawn. Logan stood in front of Sarah's empty house, the porch light still on. She had left it that way every night, in case someone needed help, she'd said. Now it burned like a question that refused to die. He crouched by Ranger, whispering softly, "Find her, boy." The dog lowered his nose to the ground, tail stiffening as he caught a scent, faint but familiar. And then he pulled. They moved through the forest behind the property, boots crunching over frostbitten leaves. The silence was thick, alive with tension. Every twig snap sounded like a gunshot. Half a mile in, Ranger stopped. His ears perked, his growl low and uncertain. There, beneath a fallen tree, a scrap of blue fabric, torn and smeared with dried blood. Sarah's uniform shirt. Logan froze, his pulse hammering in his throat. He didn't need to see the embroidered name tag to know it was hers. But there was something else, a second set of tracks beside hers. Heavy, male, and the imprint of military boots. Standard issue. Someone trained had been here. She didn't just vanish, Logan thought. She was taken. He contacted the local sheriff's office, but they dismissed him. "We've already done our sweep," they said. Logan's jaw tightened. He'd seen this before. Bureaucracy pretending to care. So he went back alone. With Ranger leading the way, he followed the tracks deeper into the forest. The deeper they went, the more the world seemed to forget sound. Even the birds had gone silent. Then, the smell hit him. Diesel, burnt rubber, and smoke curling between the trees. They emerged into a clearing, an abandoned cabin, half collapsed, still warm from a recently lit fire. On the table inside was Sarah's badge and a photograph. It showed Sarah, tied to a chair, with a man standing behind her, his face covered, his hand gripping her shoulder. And on the back of the photo, written in red ink, "You should have stayed overseas, soldier." The world tilted. Logan's breath came shallow, his mind flashing with rage and disbelief. He grabbed the edge of the table, knuckles white. "They wanted me to find this," he whispered. It wasn't just a kidnapping. It was bait. Ranger whined, sniffing toward the back of the cabin, toward a hatch beneath the floorboards. Logan knelt, pried it open, and a rush of stale air met him. A tunnel, freshly dug, leading down into darkness. That he hesitated for half a second, then dropped in. The air grew colder as he crawled forward. Each breath echoed off the dirt walls. Ranger followed close behind, muscles tense. And then, voices. "He'll come for her. He always does. Make sure the dog doesn't survive this time." Logan's blood turned to ice. He knew that voice. Chief Warrant Officer Reed, his former commanding officer. The man who'd betrayed their unit for profit. The man Sarah had been investigating before she disappeared. Oh, that's what this was, a cleanup mission. And Sarah had uncovered too much. He reached for his knife, waiting for his heartbeat to steady. Then, a sound, metal scraping. Ranger had pushed forward, eyes fixed, through a crack in the tunnel wall. They saw her. Sarah, bound to a chair, bruised but alive, and Reed standing over her. "Tell me where you put the files, Lieutenant," Reed said coldly. Sarah spat at his feet. "Even if I knew, you'd never find them." Reed's smirk was almost gentle. "You always were too much like your brother." Logan's grip tightened on the knife. His training screamed patience. Wait for your moment. But blood overrules orders. That he moved. Bursting through the wall with Ranger leaping ahead, the element of surprise was theirs. Reed turned too late. Ranger sank his teeth into his arm, dragging him down as Logan tackled the nearest guard. The tunnel exploded into chaos. Fists, shouts, gunfire muffled by dirt walls. Logan moved like a shadow, every strike fueled by years of guilt and fury that he reached Sarah, cutting her ropes. "Logan," she gasped, voice trembling. Save it," he said. "We're getting out." Ranger barked, a warning. Another guard raised his rifle. A flash, a shot. Ranger yelped. Logan spun, rage blinding him. One shot. Clean. The man dropped, but Ranger lay still, chest heaving, blood on his fur. For a moment, everything froze. Smoke filled the air, the tunnel trembling as flames from the cabin began to seep down. "Go!" Logan yelled, lifting Ranger with one arm. Pulling Sarah with the other, they ran through collapsing dirt, coughing, choking, the world collapsing behind them. When they burst through the hatch, the cabin was already engulfed. Fire roared skyward, and the cold forest flickered orange. They stumbled into the clearing, coughing, shaking, clutching one another. Logan laid Ranger down, pressing his hands to the wound. "Stay with me, buddy," he whispered. Sarah knelt beside him, tears streaming. "He saved us, Logan. He saved us both." Ranger's eyes flickered open for a moment, just long enough to see them safe. Then he went still. The forest fell silent again. In the days that followed, Reed and his men were captured. Sarah's evidence files, encrypted and hidden in her old radio, exposed a ring of corruption reaching deep into military contracts. Logan received no medal, no ceremony. But when they buried Ranger with full honors at the base, every SEAL stood at attention. Even Sarah couldn't stop the tears as the flag was folded and handed to Logan. The officer said softly, "He did his duty." Logan nodded. So did she. That night, Sarah placed Ranger's tag beside her badge, on the same hook where she used to hang her keys. The porch light still glowed outside, and for the first time in months, it didn't feel like a question anymore. It felt like a promise, because courage doesn't fade, it just waits for the right moment to rise again. And sometimes, the ones we lose are the ones who lead us home. If this story moved you, tell me what part hit you hardest in the comments. And if you believe courage and loyalty still matter in this world, make sure you're subscribed, because more true stories like this one are coming soon.